Alrighty, so I think a while back I did a video of this guy. May I not, but I believe I did. But this was been a good maybe 3 years ago, and you guys ought to check out this place right here. Okay, Empowerment. All right, and this is Kyle Washington. So look up his deal and just kind of type in there Kyle Washington, and it should pull up some things. You may recognize it on YouTube. What he's talking about more clearly than this little short video of what he's talking about. Okay, um, always never look straight forward. Always look around to be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. The reason why we challenge jurisdiction in any courts, period, is because there's several different type of jurisdictions that we're not even aware of. Okay, we got common law jurisdiction and all that kind of stuff. But let's just kind of nitpick this because this is actually a pretty good diagram, right? Auto Department, DEPT. Okay, Western Auto, jurisdiction, right? When you're employed by any one of them businesses, you are operating in their jurisdiction, their rules. You have no constitutional rights, right? And then you're in the corporation Detroit. My case would be Abilene, right? Michigan jurisdiction, which mine is Texas jurisdiction. United States. What? Wait a minute. Grammar. Hang on, hang on. Um, Big caps don't make a difference, and small ones don't make a big difference, but grammar says it does. Okay? We need to research grammar again, people. United States, all caps. United States of America. All right? Look at the grammar. Different jurisdiction, different jurisdiction. Law merchants, different jurisdiction. Amnesty. Okay? Everybody talks about the sea and all that kind of stuff, but that's not. It's committing commerce, business, law merchants. It's all business oriented. Okay, a lot of times nowadays, more than ever, everything we do is overseas, but it's still a law merchants. MLT's involved in this jurisdiction right here. Okay, and then you got common law. Okay, then you got spiritual jurisdiction, right? Your natural rights that these people right here are taking from us. This one right here, this one right here. They're all taking our rights away from us, right? We want to be in the United States of America, the Republic, federal, not federal, Confederate Republic, right? We want to be in that jurisdiction because this right here is this right here. This right here is this right here, which is what? Administrative. Right here, United States, merchant, administrative. Okay? Now, I'm not an attorney, I'm not giving you legal advice. This is educational purposes only. It's my opinion. No more, no less. Do not take it as lawful anything. Okay? I just don't really want to dumb myself down. I want to kind of grow in knowledge. I want to use my Second Amendment and arm myself with knowledge to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. But check out Carl Washington. And I have not signed up for their channel, but I have seen some of their documents. And it's really good documents because what they're doing is in their documents, they're going after the CEO of Walmart, the big guys, and the CEO of Detroit, the big guy in the city, the CEO of, well, Kyle has actually sent his documents to Queen Elizabeth, okay, when she was alive, all right? But there we go again. Criminals not going to obey. But the thorn in their sides, they don't like. Let's go.
And who you are in the center as related to the outside of this thing in spiritual jurisdictions. That's the key to all of this. Because everything inside is contrived and doesn't really exist. There are no borders. The animals don't check in at the border. They just fly across. The perfect example is the Canada goose, that flies south into the United States in the winter and then flies back to Canada in the summer, in the spring. And it doesn't check in at the border. But if you try and bring a goose in your car and cross a border, and it doesn't matter if that goose is dead or alive, you're going to have armed guys saying you can't do it. And at the same moment that some guy is pulling a gun on you saying you cannot bring this dead or alive bird in your car, there could be a goose flying right across of the same species. That's what you got to understand. It doesn't exist. It only exists because somebody said so, and then you've got guys with guns to enforce it. But there is no border between the United States and Canada. It was imposed there. Now, I'm not saying, to create anarchy or anything like that, but you got to understand the concept of this stuff. Somebody came up with the idea to put a border there. Does that make it so?
Yeah. Like the Terry stop and frisk and all that kind of stuff. A judge gave opinion, judges, all right, of a couple of judges gave opinion that officers are allowed to touch you in funny places. And now you're just supposed to sit there and let them touch you in all your Google spots. Okay? For detainment and for officer safety, they're allowed to touch you. But for your own safety, you're not allowed to touch them. Okay? But who gave that judge the authority to say it's okay for that officer to stop, even stop me, let alone touch me in my no-nos? Right? And I'm just kind of bringing things up because what do, ladies? They had to feel up underneath everything. They touch you on the buttocks, make sure there's no weapons, even though it's clearly established there's no weapons. But they still got to touch you. All right? But some type of king judge gave authority to officers to be able to touch you, but never gave you the authority to protect yourself and touch the officers, made sure that he was unarmed. Or we had the authority to tell that officer that to take your weapon down. Let me pull your weapon and put it on top of my hood of my car for people's safety, and all that. I'm a truck driver. My job was actually more dangerous statistically than cops was. Their job is less dangerous than my job statistically. Okay, I think theirs is like 10 and mine was 8. Wasn't very much difference. But the point being, there's other jobs more dangerous than officers. And yet we got to base everything around officer safety due to a judge saying this. Sit and think about that, people. Okay? Pennsylvania versus Mims, right? All this had to do with a crime area in a particular town. Okay? Well, that's discrimination. So people that's in a poor neighborhoods got less rights than the people in the rich neighborhood. Don't tell me that's not discrimination, but somehow or another, a judge or judges of 5 panels gets to override 300 million people. Sit and think about that for a second, right? A couple of judges gets to override 300 million people and say, hey, bow down to the mighty king, right? When you go into court, that's not respect. All rise. All sit, right? That's not respect in the court's eyes. That's making sure everybody's complying to, number one, the officer in that court. Number two, making sure they're complying with the judge's orders. They want everybody to be following in line. The reason why you're in school, you're in line. Everything you do when you're in school is exactly the same thing that they do to prisoners. You got to stay in line. You got to do this. You're timed on your playtime. Your time for lunch. There's little bells when you're in jail. There's little bells when you're in school. You've been trained to be imprisonment. Even when you're walking down the street, you have already been trained. You are imprisonment due to the judge says his officers can touch you in your no-nos. All right, this is We the People News. Till next time, bye y'all.